Algorators, happy Friday Eve. I didn't even know that was a thing. I have a friend of mine who always texts me on Thursday and says, happy Friday Eve. So happy Friday Eve, Algorators. Welcome back, Tanya McNeil. Welcome back, Brenda O. Vernice Johnson. Haven't seen that name in a while. Welcome back. Welcome back, Venetia Phillips. Welcome back, Kendra Jones. Welcome back, Lakina Morris. Essie Stone, welcome back. Lady Shell, SL, welcome back. JP Mills, welcome back. I'm not even going to mess up that name. Shah, Rakisha, I don't know. Welcome back. Sorry. Sandra Majid, welcome back. Edota, welcome back. And of course, that's Jason and Christine R. Welcome back. Okay, everybody. Tonight's episode is Trump versus the culture. At least that's what it feels like. We're going to talk about pardons, power, and prosecution games. All right, good evening, everyone. And you know that you are our jurors, and you're also going to be jurors of the culture. Welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, where headlines meet handcuffs, and we put power on trial. Tonight's docket, though, is one name, Trump. But this isn't about campaign rallies or debate signs. This is about what happens when celebrity, politics, and the law collide. We're breaking down 5 explosive legal controversies tied to Donald Trump, 5 moments that challenge the boundaries of power, privilege, and what, in my opinion, we'll call presidential reach. So buckle up, because we're not spilling tea, we're subpoenaing it. And joining us on the Legal Beagle side, we have the author, Jason Weiss, and humorist at law, Sean Carter. Counselors, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Jason, you're a little down in your seat. Is it your positioning over there, sir?
Nah, there we go. I was just relaxing for the show, you know. I don't have to be on point. Shaitan is taking a little vacay, and the other attorney Carter is a little under the weather, so I was like just sitting back. But all good, Your Honor. I will sit up in my chair.
Very good. Tonight, everybody, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, hit the share button. Turn on your notification, and as always, jump down in those comments, because I feel like tonight there's going to be some juicy conversations. We have our male legal beagles holding us down tonight, and court is now in session. First up, isn't this interesting? Marriage no longer equals a green card. As of August 1st, the CSCIS quietly updated, you heard me right? Quietly updated its policy, stating that marrying a U.S. citizen no longer guarantees legal protection. That means if you're undocumented, married to an American, and awaiting status, you can still be deported. Now, this came up between the Department of State versus Muñez in 2024, where they ruled there's no constitutional right to spousal immigration. The new policy now forces deeper scrutiny, tighter documentation, and strips automatic legal standing from marriage. I'm going to throw to you first, Sean Carter. Talk to me about this. How does this policy redefine immigration precedents? I mean, what is going on here, and why is it so important that we attack now our green card status if you marry an American?
Because these are people who are brown. That's why. You know the reason. All right. That's what all this comes down to. Now, here's the thing is, we've traditionally had this fundamental sort of marriage first thing, right? Family first.
Bring him to the main stage, please.
We want to keep families together. And so traditionally, before August 1st, the rule was if you married someone and they were here illegally, then they could file a petition, all right, for sort of reclassification. And that meant that rather than having them deported, and breaking up the family, they would actually get temporary status to not only be here to get a green card, but they'd actually get a work authorization. And if they found out later that the marriage was a fraud or whatever, they could send you back. But you had a presumption that, hey, if someone went through the process of marrying you, you were good. And what they did was they said, no, not anymore. So if we're going to deport you and you happen to be married, or didn't be married, we will throw you out. And this is a continual process. Once again, one of these boogeymen of, all these people are getting married to make sure they stay in the country. And I don't know about you, but I'm not normally gonna marry somebody in front of Home Depot. Just keep them in the country because they can get up models or fix my lawn.
Well, I get it. Jason Weiss, let me ask you, Attorney Weiss, could this spark class action lawsuits?
I don't know if it's going to be able to do a class action lawsuit because it's the change of the law. It's the entire policy that has changed. It used to be like Attorney Carter said, it was usually you get married and they'll check you out. They'll look over you. They'll see what's going on for usually a period of 2 years. And if everything smelled kosher, then you were good to go. And then a lot of the fraud marriages or the ones that were done just for immigration purposes, people would usually get, divorced after year 3 or something along those lines. But here's the thing, right? This policy went into effect August 1st. So it's for anybody who hasn't been approved, anybody who's still in the waiting process, anybody that actually applied. And here's the kicker. It's retroactive. And what they're doing is saying that you getting married is only prima facie evidence. It does not provide absolute immunity from future review or enforcement actions. It used to be, you make it past that 2 years, you're still married, you're good to go. But now, nope, we're going to go back and look. And if you get divorced in year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, guess what? You're out of here.
All right. Vipa Parr says, I'm here for it. Send them back. Oh, wow. That's very strong. SL said, how did Melania get here? And then.
Well, they'll go back and look at Melania. And as long as Melania stayed. And look, but here's my joke, right? Maybe that's the way that Trump will make sure that Melania never leaves him.
I'm gonna go to you really quickly, Attorney Carter. Why does this administration, specifically the President of the United States, have such a hard-on for immigrants, specifically Mexicans, Haitians?
Part of it is the idea, all right? It's a political idea. I saw this actually parroted by someone today, which is that the thought is that all these brown people are going to vote Democrat. So if we let them in the country, let them eventually become citizens, we'll lose. There also is concern of we're not, as white people, going to be the majority forever. All right. And so we were going to do whatever we can to avoid that, because I can guarantee you this: the prima facie case for marriage is always going to be considered sufficient when the couple's white. They're not going to be looking at those people. They're going to be looking at Jose and Maria. All right. Gustav and Anna, I bet you they don't have a problem. And it's not, it's not hard to see. There is a definite idea and concern. There's been a concern for years that that there's too many black and brown people here, and this is one way to try to
equalize it. Attorney Weiss, Attorney Carter mentioned that in the beginning it was a lot of Mexicans and other immigrants were on the Democratic Party, but we've seen a shift in the last 2 elections that's not necessarily true. What do you think this aggressive immigration laws, deportation actions, do you think that the Mexicans are going to still be voting Republican after this?
Here's the thing, right? President Trump is not going, or probably not going to be running again. They're already talking today in the press that J.D. Vance has put his foot in his mouth a couple of times, and he's doing some things, but he would be the candidate. I don't know if what he is doing, people have short-term memory. I want to be Republican. I want to vote Republican, and Trump's no longer in. Those were his policies and not the Republican policy. That's one of the views. But look, here in South Florida, traditionally, the Cuban population, they all voted Republican. So I'm not 100% sure what this is. I think Trump and the administration is equating that some of the people that are here illegally or that came through and have violent histories and they're escaping the violence and coming to the United States, then those people are going to wreak the same havoc here in the U.S. but you can't just lump every single person that comes in as a foreign immigrant. That's a bad person, right? You come here because you want to give your kids an education. You want to live free. You want to be a person who's giving back to society. If those people want to be here, they should be here. They help our country and our economy and everything else.
The question here is, how did we all get here?
We're
either slave traded here or we are immigrants here. All right, we're going to put Rakeya, pronounce Rakeya. All right, Rakeya Shaw, my bad. Thank you so much for the enunciation and pronunciation of your name. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. All right, let's keep it going. We're going to do a poll right now. Should marrying a U.S. citizen guarantee a path to legal status? Yes, love is valid legal ground. No, too many fraud risks. All right, here we go. The poll again. Let's see if we have it scrolling across the screen, please. Can I get the poll scrolling across the screen? Should marrying a U.S. citizen guarantee a path to legal status? Vote yes or no. Drop down in the chat.
And again, the way that it used to be, there were safeguards put in, that it wasn't just we got married, we're here legally, great, we're in, and then get divorced, right? There's got to be a way to combat people that do it for the wrong reason. But look, you're marrying somebody.
I feel like there's gonna be fraud with everything.
There's fraud with everything in life.
Everything. So I just think the fact that you're targeting a particular group with this ISIS raids and this deportation policies and this recruiting of 8,000 officers, I think it's racially motivated, and I think it's discriminatory, and I think it's extremely ugly. All right, let's keep it moving. Prosecuting 14-year-olds as adults. See, I mean, what is this? Who in their right mind as the president of the United States want 14-year-olds to be prosecuted as adults? Okay, next up, Trump is calling for a major change in juvenile law in Washington, D.C. He wants 14-year-olds to be prosecuted as adults. The reason, a violent youth attack near the White House sparked outrage. But what does the law say about this? Supreme Court President Roper versus Simmons bars execution of minors. He wants to change that. Juvenile justice reform trends lean away from adult prosecution, and Trump's push could set off a constitutional firestorm. Okay, let's go to you, Attorney Weiss, on this. Explain this to me, please. What are the due process risks? That's what I want to know. What are the due process risks for lowering the age of adult prosecution?
So here's the thing, right? In order to be considered competent to stand trial, we usually think that somebody is mentally ill, insane, and all of that. That is not true. In order in the law to be considered competent, you need to really understand what's going on. And look, the law says, even in Florida, you're really not considered old enough to be responsible to drive till you're 16. You can't be responsible to drink until you're 21. You can't vote until you're 18. So you're 18, that is considered an adult under the law. That means you have the competency to stand trial and you're competent. You can now. We also have rules like you could serve somebody with subpoena or legal papers, and they can accept service if they're 16. And that's why some courts have said when heinous crimes and things are going on, they would charge a 16 or a 17-year-old as an adult if the case warrants it. Going to 14, I mean, think back, like when my son was 14, if he didn't know right from wrong in so many things, he wouldn't know. Yes, I understand he'd know that if he went up and shot somebody that's against the law, but some of these things. So 14-year-olds, not competent and not right. You want to do it, maybe 16, maybe, but it's got to be 18 or older. And that's the way the law is
ridiculous. So you can't even operate a car in the United States under the age of 16. So what makes you think that you should be able to, I don't care, be sent to prison and possibly in the wrong state if this picks up, you know, if you could be executed, which is crazy. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Carter. But before we do, let's read some comments. AG Early says Trump is aiming that towards little black boys. Why do I feel the same way? Why do I feel the same way? Like,
can I say why?
What is going on with this president? One second, let me just finish these comments really quick, and then we'll throw it to you. Colette Frazier said, no child at 14 should be prosecuted as an adult. Brain's not fully formed, even though they may know right from wrong. I agree with that. AJ Early says they view black males as grown men when they're a child, when they're a child away. Okay, let's see. Sandra Maji, please let me know if I'm pronouncing that correct. Or McGee, no child should be prosecuted as an adult. Venetia Phillips says no child 14 should be out here with guns, murdering innocent people, robbing people, carjacking is ridiculous. Well, that they can do. Dominic Brooks says, I'm so tired of Trump. Miss P says, I totally agree with Trump on this. If there is a 14-year-old that murders someone, heck yeah, he or she should, I guess, be tried as an adult. Hold on 1 second. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I just think we got to have more compassion than that. Okay, Attorney Carter, let's go. What were you saying?
Let's start with the Trump thing in regard to if this is about little black boys. Anybody remember where Trump's political career started? It didn't start with Obama, by the way. You know what it started with? The Central Park Five.
Yes.
5 little black boys who were wrongfully, by the way, accused. Trump put out $1 million bounty on their head. Said, right? Yeah. This is how he got into politics. This is where he got to be a national figure. It's finding little black boys, all right, that he can then paint as monsters. So, of course, he wants to do this. Now, here's what Trump is always doing. This is his standard blowhard stuff. He says, you know what? DC, you have a law that says 16. If you don't change that to 14, I'm going to take over the whole DC police department. No, you're not. All right. I don't want to, by the way, be in charge of DC police department. I've been to DC before. All right. Y'all keep that. All right. And he darn sure all the stuff he got to deal with Epstein and everybody else. He don't want to be police chief. All right. Of DC. That's kind of a demotion when you used to be president, when you've been president twice. OK. But what he wants to do is bring this up again, create another Central Park Five to create it. This is how he gets his base always riled up. These young black monsters, these super predators, right? Mm-hmm. This is his political playbook. All right. Now, for those who say, well, you know, if you do the crime, do the time. I know it rhymes, but that doesn't make it true. All right. You know, I know that in Baptist church that'll work, but outside of that, you got to be more than just rhyme to make it true. Here's the thing is, the purpose of not charging people as an adults when they're not adults is because that's literally how the two words work. Right. I don't understand how we ever have a situation where you can charge a child as an adult. Hey, why don't we charge an innocent person as guilty? That you can't change those things. All right. And the reason we have a juvenile system is, by the way, you can be charged for murder in juvenile court. But the purpose of juvenile court is to create an atmosphere of rehabilitation.
Right.
Maybe we can fix you.
Re-entry. Right.
Once we put you in the adult system, there's no hope for you. And we know from history, everyone tried as an adult. There is no, once you go to jail as a kid, as an adult, you don't come back. All right. You don't ever get better. You don't get rehabilitated. There's no classes, whatever it is. And the idea here is, quite frankly, and I'll shut up, is that, you know, the idea that we were constantly saying and looking at little black boys, particularly, you know, this is a monster and we want to basically put you away. That's the problem with our whole system, period.
Right.
You know, we were constantly sort of trying to throw people away instead of figuring out how to do it better. And there are other countries who do it better and they don't have these problems and they have less crime. So obviously what we're doing is not working.
Got it. All right, Attorney Weiss, what were you saying?
The only thing I was going to say is somebody put in the comments and you read the comment that, you know, like we should go ahead. I think it was Miss P. I totally agree with Trump on this. If there's a 14-year-old that murders someone, heck yeah. Right. That shouldn't be the rule. That might be the exception, but the rule shouldn't be you're 14, you're charged as an adult. The rule should be you're 18, you're an adult, you get charged as an adult. You do a heinous crime right now, they'll charge you as an adult if you're 17. They'll charge you as an adult if you're 16. They've even charged people at 14 and 15. So it happens, but that shouldn't be the rule. That should be the exception.
Right.
And that I'm okay with because that's how it is now and that's how it's always been, but not 14. I mean, heck, I have two kids that they're 18 and 15, and they shouldn't be tried as adults for things. I mean, come on.
Right, they're still learning. Can we bring everybody back on the main stage really quickly? Because I want to hear both of the attorneys' answer to this. Would this, if we just look at the statistics in the court system, would this disproportionately impact Black and brown youth? We'll start with you first, Jason Weiss.
I think it would. I think it would.
I don't have to think so. I got the numbers.
Yeah.
All right.
And
in California, Black young men are 8.5 times more likely than their white counterparts to be charged as adults. Okay. In New Jersey, 90% of the people who've ever been charged as adults, guess what they were? Black and brown. All right. It doesn't become an accident. And you can see why. Because part of the evaluation is, can we rehabilitate them? And when you see a cute little white boy, you think, you know what? We might be able to fix him. And you see a little black boy and you think, monster, super predator. And by the way, this is Black prosecutors doing this, Black judges. We all have this problem. That's why you don't want to have this subjective thing, because you're never going to be able to get a white middle-aged judge is not going to be able to look at a little black boy and say, that's just like my son. They're not going to be able to make that
right. And just a recent example how the young white male, handsome white male who shot the CEO of United Healthcare, how that was handled compared to when that young Black male who used to be a former football player went to the NFL and started shooting around. They brought out hundreds of special forces to take him down. All right, let's go to the algorithms. Let's see how you feel. Should kids as young as 14 be tried as adults for violent crimes? Drop down in the comments, yes or no. Yes, if the crime is severe. No, they're still children. Let me go to the poll one more time. Should kids as young as 14 be tried as adults for violent crimes? Vote yes or no. Drop down in the chat, please, right now. I just think about the dumb crap I did at 14, 15, 16. Like driving without a license, like all the crazy stuff I did. Can you imagine if I had to be tried as an adult? We're not even talking about violent crimes. We're talking about basic crimes as well. Shoplifting. I mean, come on. Can you imagine how this would affect Black and brown kids? My parents weren't affording a lawyer for the dumb shit I was doing then. That's a lot of freaking money to defend yourself, to go to court with a lawyer. This is crazy to me. This is just absolutely insane. And I don't understand why there's not more outrage. Where's the outrage? Where's the empathy? Where's the ability to want to rehabilitate instead of prosecute in jail and kill? Where I just don't get it. I don't get it. Speaking of don't get it, Gayle, Stephen Colbert, and Beyoncé are under fire. Now let's pivot to a different kind of prosecution. Now this prosecution is better than any other prosecution this president has brought forward. It's called the petty kind. Trump recently called Gayle King talentless, took jabs at Stephen Colbert, and suggested Beyoncé, y'all. Beyoncé should be prosecuted. Yes, you heard me correctly, prosecuted for allegedly accepting $11 million to endorse Democrats, all because they didn't endorse him. But listen, this is the best part. There's no evidence. There's no charges. This is just pure Trump. So let me make sure we all understand. There's no factual basis. There's no legal precedence. Beyonce's alleged endorsement payout is an unapproved conspiracy theory, which has been debunked by her. These are likely protected speech, but raise questions about abuse or misuse of his platform. Let's go to you, Attorney Carter. Could Trump's repeated public attacks rise to defamation or incitement, like the incitement of the riot?
Before I defend all these people, and I will, I think we have them in their own words. Let them tell their story, and then I'll go ahead and tell them why they're really right. Don't we have collateral for this?
No. I'm sorry he feels that way, but I'm just going to do it. I like my job, continue to do a good job. There's a long list of people. Yeah, long list. Look, I'm in a group now with Bruce Springsteen, Taylor Swift, Stephen Colbert. I'm sorry he feels that way.
I just found that. I found
that's
that.
Awesome.
You know,
and you know who's next, right? South Park, because you know the two episodes that have come out 2 weeks ago and the one that came out last night. You know that they're going after him again, and they're going after JD Vance again. So I'm a South Park fan, so you got to watch it because that's all I got to say.
And so your question was, can we get him for incitement and that type of thing, or libel? First of all, defamation and libel is kind of interesting. So think about it. He said Colbert has stupid, no talent. Gayle, stupid, no talent. Unfortunately, that's not defamation. That's an opinion, right? And it might be a third truth. Okay. And so no, you're not going to be able to be able to get that. Beyonce, though, he's accused Beyonce of committing a crime. Right. He said that basically she took $11 million from the Democrats to perform and to campaign for Harris. Now, two things about that. One, there's no proof that she took any money. But two, if she did, guess what? That's not illegal.
What's
right?
illegal? Yeah.
It's not illegal. Now, bribery is illegal if you're an elected official. But you're a private citezen. A politician can bribe you all they want. So, for instance, if you're out there, a politician, you need my endorsement. I'm a lot cheaper than $11 million. By $1,100, we can work something out. I'll endorse you every time on the show. Okay. And that's not illegal. So Trump has basically accused her of committing a crime that's not a crime. Now, as long as he doesn't prosecute her, you can do that. People do this all the time, right? So-and-so is a crook. However, the incitement thing is interesting. And right, what he said so far hasn't been a problem. But if someone were to, tragically attack one of them, now we're getting into something, and I don't think he's crossed the line so far. But if he says in a speech, somebody needs to go do something about that, and then somebody does something about that, he's gonna have problems.
That's insane to me. Okay, last question. Let's go to you, Attorney Weiss. There is what if anything could these people who are being attacked by the President of the United States, forcing companies to fire people? I mean, is there anything any of these people can do legally? Can they threaten him, or what could they do?
When you say legally, can they threaten who? Can they threaten?
Like, is it no. Can the people that he's attacking, like Beyonce, Colbert, Gayle, is there any precedent? Is basically what I'm asking that exists for public figures that they can push back? Is there a legal way that they can push back to stop it, address it, or anything like that?
Sure, there's nothing stopping them from pushing back, but Stephen Colbert probably got a good exit package. He'll probably wind up on HBO with his buddy John Oliver, so he'll be fine. I don't think Beyonce is losing sleep over what Trump is saying, and Gayle King is still employed and doing her thing, and she's happy about the fact that she's in the same group as Bruce Springsteen and Taylor Swift. So right now, there's not too much that can be said or done, but at some point in time, it seems like the courts and the Supreme Court and even the press, they're kind of trying to keep him in check, but that's not going to last forever.
Now, okay, Attorney Carter, let me go to you for the last question. I guess a better question here is there any legal threshold for abusing political power for personal vendettas?
Not really. Now, let's be clear. We have had people impeached for this. All right, that's part of Watergate. It's part of the reason that Trump got impeached both times. All right, last time. But unfortunately, impeachment is so 2020. Right. You can impeach Trump every day. He wouldn't care, and his base wouldn't care either. All right, and he's got a coverage with the Supreme Court. They're going to protect him from any civil lawsuits. They're going to likely protect him from a criminal lawsuit if he were charged with incitement. Right, and also he's packed the federal prosecutor office with his own cronies. That's how you get the job there. You bend the knee. And so the chances of anybody calling him to account, I think Beyonce, who always, by the way, is the genius in this. You know what Beyonce's response was? Not a damn thing. Because unless you pay $300 a ticket, Beyonce ain't got nothing to say to you. Never. About nothing. That's the answer.
Let's go to the poll. Hold on one second.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go to the poll really quickly. We'll come back to you, Attorney Weiss. Let's go to the poll. Are Trump's celebrity attacks dangerous or just drama? I think they're dangerous. Are Trump's celebrity attacks dangerous or just drama? Drop down in the chat. Yes, dangerous. It's abuse of power. No, just politics as usual. Let me run that again. Are Trump's celebrity attacks dangerous or just drama? Vote yes for dangerous abuse of power or no, just politics as usual. What were you saying, Attorney Weiss?
No, I was going to say, I was just reading a lot of the comments, and there seems to be a theme in the comments with the algoriters where what Trump is doing is just a distraction, where he's going to say, look over here, look over here, look over here, forget about Epstein over here. And that's what a lot of the algoriters have commented on that. And they didn't know that South Park was back for a 27th season, which again, I recommend going and watching it. But again, they think that he is trying to have the public look and hear and focus on other things so that he could pass things like the immigration law and the 14-year-old prosecution. And again, Attorney Carter said it. Right now, the courts are stacked in his favor.
That's just crazy to me. Okay, everybody, let's keep it moving. Please hit that like button because the like is not liking. Also, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, though, be sure to hit that share button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications. And as always, keep the comments coming. Colette Frazier said, yes, dangerous and abuse of power. It's all a clear distraction. Sandra McGee says, drama, dangerous. Oh gosh, I forgot how to pronounce that. Says Mr. Shaw said dangerous and dictator. Venetia Phillips says yes. And JP Mills says just drama to deflect from the Epstein files. Okay, let's keep it moving. Speaking of Epstein files, the Epstein files have been subpoenaed. Next on the docket are the Epstein files. Congress has subpoenaed records from the Department of Justice, files that allegedly impact high-profile names, including Donald Trump himself, Pam Bodie, Todd Blanchett, FBI documents, sensitive content, and whispers, everyone, of child exploitation. All right, the legal context here is that congressional subpoenas cover real weight. Non-compliance could lead to contempt. If Trump's administration buried these files, it could constitute obstruction, as well as public trust in the justice hinges on transparency here. If there's a president in my mind that can get away with all of that, which is justice, transparency, public trust, obstruction, non-compliance can lead to contempt, I feel like it would be him. I'm going to go to you, Attorney Carter. Can a former president be held accountable for suppressing Department of Justice records? Or a present president?
Possibly, but...
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would. I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
I think tomorrow, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office. It's sitting on my desk right now to review. A truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. It's a new day. It's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public.
Her saying that it's a new day and a new administration does not give me confidence that stuff is going to come out to the public with transparency. Go ahead, Attorney Carter.
All right. So as far as Trump being prosecuted, the FBI or the government is almost never an obligation to declassify anything. All right. They can keep stuff. Think about it. Everybody, even Obama, kept the MLK stuff classified his whole term. All right. You can do that all you want. All right. And here's the thing, though, is that, by the way, everybody, don't get your hopes up. This is the okie doke. Okay, and here's how I know that. The Republicans in the House are the ones who authorized this subpoena. Now, do you think they're trying to take their own president down? You think they're trying to take down the guy who's going to have them primaried? No, here's why. Because they know that part of the reason that the FBI, the Department of Justice, will not release these files is because they can't. There are legal restrictions for grand jury testimony, for anything that would identify the underage witnesses. There are most of the stuff can't come out. Think about it. If it was this damaging and we could get Trump on it, Biden would have released this. Biden didn't release it, not because he wanted Trump to win, but because he legally was not allowed to release a lot of this stuff. The same thing is going to be true of Trump. Trump just came into office making promises because he don't know what the law is or care. But he's obviously, I'm not saying he's not in the list. He's in the list. I'm saying you're never going to see it. And the reason the Democrats, the Republicans did this, it was a genius kung fu move, is they also said, in addition to releasing the Epstein files, which the White House won't do, we want to see Bill and Hillary Clinton. Now, come on, Hillary. You think Hillary was on the island? All right. In addition to Hillary, they want to see Comey. Basically, every Democratic enemy they have, they're going to bring to the House and grill them and make them responsible for the Epstein stuff. Trump's not going to release the stuff that they told him to because, one, he legally can't release some of it. And the stuff he can release, he's still not going to release. And it's going to be a Democratic witch hunt and be orchestrated by the Republicans. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it.
Attorney Weiss, what happens if Trump's name is prominently featured on Epstein case logs?
The question becomes, what is his name tied to? Is it criminal activity, or is it just that he was there? If it's not criminal activity, then probably nothing. But if it's and it would have to be that he was it would have to be that he did something wrong. The mere fact that his name is on a list or a name that he was present in there is not going to have a link to the Epstein criminal activities. It would have to say, like, Donald Trump did blah, 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 and it's a crime. That they'll look at. But just his name being there, that would be like somebody being at a Diddy party as someone who just happened to be there.
Okay, let's go to the algorithm. Should Congress release all Epstein-related files involving Trump? Yes. Vote yes for full transparency. No for wait for further review. Let me repeat. Should Congress release all Epstein-related files involving Trump? Yes for full transparency. No, wait for further review. I'm just trying to still figure out, because after listening to both of you, I still don't understand. What can the files show us? What can the files tell us that would make it prosecutory for the present administration or the president? Carter, can you help me understand that?
No, I mean, if there were something in the files that said, "Hey, Trump went to the island, they set up these things with the underage girls, etc." Obviously, it seems likely that it doesn't say that, because if it did, Biden is a traitor, right? Because he could have stopped all this by releasing it the 4 years he was in office. I imagine it's what Attorney Weiss says. It's very circumstantial. He knew, and we know he had a very close relationship, all right, with Epstein. But it doesn't.
And he was on the island several times. That he had interaction with some of the prosecutors, like with some of the witnesses that the prosecutors presented. Like we know that. We know that he was on the plane with the young lady who was trafficked. We know that. So I just don't know what other information do they need to show, in the Epstein files for it to lead to something. Only thing I'm interested in knowing is if there's anything in those Epstein files that could debunk him of being or taken down as being the president of the United States. Other than that, what's the purpose?
And the chances are it's not, because Pam Bondi probably saw it. She's 100% on Team Trump, and she would fight it till the end of the world in order to not let it out. So yes, his name probably appears on lists because he was at parties and he flew places and did all that. But that in and of itself, that's not going to mean anything.
Got it. All right, let's keep it going to the last case of the evening on the docket. Finally, the case that has Hollywood holding its breath. Sean Diddy's Combs, convicted on 2 federal counts under the Mann Act, is facing serious prison time. And now his camp is allegedly reaching out to Trump for a presidential pardon. All right, now this is the legal breakdown. We know that the Mann Act conviction is real, but he did request a pardon from Trump. We know that that's real. But Trump said he's reluctant, citing that Diddy publicly dragged him during his campaign. So is this about justice or vendettas? Once again, is this about justice or vendettas? Bailiff, take it away. Let's see what you got.
Diddy Combs,
Right.
would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, you know, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
And it's hard, you know, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know, it's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs,
I
it
would
sounds
say
like.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about George Santos?
Okay, baby.
Boy.
Wow. Let's go to you, Sean Carter. Sean Carter, let's go to you. Does Trump have the absolute power to pardon anyone, regardless of optics or personal beef?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, he can pardon people who haven't even been charged yet. All right, we've seen that happen. All right, Eric Adams hadn't even gone to trial yet. All right, hadn't been found guilty of anything. The president's pardon power is unfortunately unlimited. And it isn't even subject to things like, you know, you can't pardon your best friend or your wife or your mama. You can pardon people for money if you're the president. All right. That pardon power is basically sort of a get out of jail free card. It's like one of the three things that the president, in the terms of the Constitution, can do, and nobody can question anything about it.
Got it. Attorney Weiss, let me ask you this question really quickly. Could Diddy's legal team argue selective denial based on political retaliation?
Sure, they could argue it all that they want, but the pardon from Trump is not a given, and it's not an absolute right. It's 100% discretionary. And when Combs came out and said, in 2020, and he talked about that, that Trump could be considered dangerous, and he didn't support him, Trump could say, you know what, you said bad things about me, I'm not going to pardon you. He doesn't have to. There's no, if you do A, B, C, D, you're going to be pardoned. No. Can I get pardoned? No, I don't feel like it. That's it. He doesn't have to do it.
All right. Understood. Real quick question for the algoriters. For the poll, should Trump pardon Diddy? Let's just get it out there. Algoriters, what do you think? Should Trump pardon Diddy? Yes, justice is justice. No, let the courts decide. Drop down in the chat one more time. Should Trump pardon Diddy? Should Trump pardon Diddy? Yes, justice is justice. No, let the courts decide. Drop down in the chat. Should Trump pardon Diddy? That's the question of the hour.
Touted her time working with Diddy in the 2000s girl group Danity Kane as having prepared her for the business world, prompting Trump to defend the artist and entrepreneur when Aubrey didn't want to discuss the matter further.
I am a very strict and focused businesswoman because working for Diddy for 6 years trained me to have to be perfect.
Working for Diddy?
Absolutely.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy.
He expects.
Is he a good guy?
I don't want to answer that question.
Oh, wow. I think he's a good guy. I'm going to stick up for him.
Trump and wife Melania have been photographed with Diddy at multiple high-profile events over the years. Diddy previously complimented Trump in a 2015 interview with the Washington Post amid the politician's first presidential bid, saying at the time, Donald Trump is a friend of mine and he works very hard.
All right, here we go. Let's go to, this is a part of the show where we give our verdict, and you do too. First up, we have marriage, not a green card, according to Trump. All right, everybody, Attorney Carter and Attorney Weiss, is the administration guilty or not guilty of changing the rules after many centuries? Attorney Carter?
Yes, and here's why I would say from just a legal standpoint, very technical. There's something called the Administrative Procedures Act, which says that when the government wants to change its policies, it needs to do so thoughtfully. It should have a period where it puts it out for comment, where people can express their concerns. This is usually a process that takes the Democrats, well, all 4 years in office. All right. And Trump doesn't do any of this. All right. And so, there should be a reason that if you are going to do this, there should be thought and debate about it, not you just tweeting it and making it happen.
All right. Attorney Weiss, guilty, not guilty?
The administration is guilty in making a change to the green card if you got married. I don't have a problem with there being restrictions on it, but just throwing it out, I don't agree with. So guilty.
All right, I'm Al, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court. And in Trump's America, even marriage has an asterisk. This is really weird to me. This isn't about fraud. It's about fear. And if we don't start undoing family-based immigration one policy at a time, who's next? I'm going to find the administration guilty of bullying. That's exactly what I think this is, and fear-mongering. All right, next up, prosecuting 14-year-olds as adults. Is the Trump administration guilty of doing too much? Targeting Black and brown kids, in some people's opinion? Attorney Carter, what say you?
Absolutely. Like I said, I don't think you should prosecute children as an adult because they're not adults. That's literally how being a child works. That said, Trump doesn't want to do this. This isn't about this. This is simply about another Central Park 5. He could care less about this case, the DC thing. This is just political thing for him, just to more red meat for the base.
All right, Attorney Weiss.
Changing it so that you're 14 and you could be tried as an adult is the rule and not the exception. Guilty, no, can't do it. Go back. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. It should be 18. And again, like it is now, there are circumstances that could allow you to try somebody at 17, 16 as it goes. So no, do not change it so you're 14, you're tried as an adult.
Guilty, not guilty.
Guilty.
Got it. All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and we're going to find the administration guilty because to every 14-year-old who's made a wrong move, which I shared the ones I have done, this policy says your future ends today at 14. You've only lived 13 years on this earth. I'm so freaking confused why no one is outraged by this even thought, this even proposal. Anybody that has a freaking kid should look at their child at 13 and say, oh my goodness, if they make a mistake, they get in the wrong group, if they do drugs and something happens, that my child now has to enter the system and never come back out. Because that's basically what it's going to be. That's just basically, and we don't need another Central Park 5 moment. We need due process, not presidential panic, because these young Black and brown kids you are afraid of, and your base is afraid of, and y'all want to do something to reel them in. It's not how it works. Administration guilty. Guilty is charged. Next up, Gayle, Colbert, and Beyoncé. This is the question at hand. They don't need your validation, Trump. Is he guilty or not guilty of using celebrities, big name celebrities that speak against him, using the press to kind of have people gain up on him? That's, I guess, guilty or not guilty, Attorney Carter?
Yeah, but it's normally the case. And like I said, Beyonce is handling this the right way, as she always does. And I'm really, really proud of Beyonce because she's DGAF. And that's the advice for everybody.
Attorney Weiss, guilty, not guilty?
I think he's guilty of trying to do it. And Beyonce is she's doing it right. Just okay, whatever. Like, go on with her life. It's not affecting her ticket sales or her finances. So she's good.
All right, I'm Al, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. When did the freaking Oval Office become the shade room? Prosecution takes a hit. Like, you're not a judge. You're not a prosecutor. You are a president of the United States who plays Twitter and social media games. I'm going to find him guilty. Guilty of like just attacking anybody that's not pro-Trump. Next up, Epstein files. All right, is the president guilty or not guilty of suppressing the documents so no one can see what's going on with them? Attorney Carter, what say you?
Yeah, he's absolutely guilty of that. But everybody would be. If you were president, would you let that stuff out?
Attorney Weiss, guilty, not guilty?
I agree with Attorney Carter, guilty, and he doesn't want his name out there as part of this. Even if it's just that he was there and did nothing wrong, he still wants to get it far away from it. So it's not going to be what the public is wanting to see with these Epstein files. They're not going to get to see.
All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court. Mr. Trump, you called Epstein a terrific guy. Now your name appears in sealed files. If you're innocent, release the files. If you're not, then justice just move forward without fear or favor. You are guilty as charged, sir. Last but not least, Diddy. What is there to decide who's guilty? Is President Trump guilty or not guilty of backpedaling on his relationship with Diddy and helping his former friend that he got along with very well out in this time? Attorney Carter, what say you?
I'm going to say something that I'm going to regret, that my children are going to regret. And that is that I'm going to take Trump's side on this one. All right. And here's the bottom line is the pardon power. We have to understand that Trump overuses it. There's 600 people who apply for pardons every year. All right. About a dozen of them get it. All right. It's like a 2% chance. Almost nobody gets a pardon. And you usually have to know somebody, be politically connected, etc. And so to give that extraordinary favor to somebody who said that you were a danger, right, to everybody, you were going to start a race war. I wouldn't give Diddy a party. I wouldn't give Diddy a pardon just because he made me watch Making the Band.
All right, Attorney Weiss, guilty or not guilty?
Diddy doesn't have a right to a pardon. If Trump decides he doesn't want to pardon him, that's what Trump gets to decide. That's it.
Okay, guilty, not guilty?
I think Diddy is guilty of thinking he's getting a pardon, and Trump is not guilty if he decides that he doesn't want to pardon him.
All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I think Trump is guilty of changing his mind because he changes his mind for anybody that's against his policy. So if Diddy had spoken nice about him, he would have gotten a pardon. That's quite clear. The fact that Diddy didn't have many favorable things to say about him, Trump is throwing him to the wolves, just like everybody else in the media that he doesn't like. He throws them to the wolves. And I say that is bad. And why are we even considering pardon Diddy? let's start the conversation there. I'm still just baffled with that. But anyway, all right, everybody, listen. Tonight wasn't about Trump, the candidate. Trump, the president. It was about Trump, the force that shapes laws, that bends institutions, and that weaponizes the public narrative. I want us to be clear about that. That's just not right. So, but whether you support him or not, the legal questions are real, and there's yours to decide. So as the jury of the culture, we want to hear your voice. Drop down in the comments, all right? We made some arguments. Now we leave it in your hands. Comment your verdicts below. And remember, in this courtroom, the law isn't just written, it's watched. All right? This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. I'm your host, Judge Reynolds. We don't just cover the headlines, we cross-examine them. Court is now adjourned.